Number two, you need to ask for help more than once in a while. Every single time you do a behavior such as asking for help, you need to reward yourself for doing that. So for example, if you're learning about self-care and you decide that yoga and a face mask is your go-to self-care, every single time you do that yoga, you get on that mat, and every single time you put on the face mask, or every time you ask for help when you need it, you have to immediately reward yourself with, a special coffee treat or a new book or a nap or something that's a treat to you. You have to start training yourself that it's okay to ask for help in order for you to get good at it and then to be able to do it more than once in a while. Because if you limit yourself to only asking for help when it's an emergency, you are going to fall into that isolation. And right now is the most important time for you to practice it. So now that you've done some self-reflection and you've worked yourself up to a point where you're like, okay, I'm going to reach out. I'm going to text somebody. I'm going to email. I'm going to find a teacher, a coach, somebody that can help me in the way that I need. You have to really start with someone that feels safe for you. Because if you ask for help, and the other person that you're asking isn't really interested in helping you, you're going to run into that whole rejection fear cycle, and it's going to train you not to ask for help. So you really want to make sure that you're picking the right person to ask for. And a little side note here, don't always ask the same person. If you only have one person in your life that you feel comfortable with, maybe your partner or your parents or a good friend or something like that, and you only have that one go-to person, be careful because you could burn that person out. You know you need help, but you don't know exactly who from or exactly who to go to. You have to be able to get really good at balancing out inside yourself what you can solve and what you can't. And the best practice to do that is a pro-con list. When you've got a problem that you're facing and you don't know the solution to it, you've got to write out what are the positives about this problem and what are the negatives. And you might be saying to me, Chris, I think you said that wrong. There are no positives to my problems. But I'm here to tell you that if you want to get into next level shit, you're going to start looking at your problems as gifts. You're going to start looking at your hardships as challenges and as a positive way to figure it out. This COVID-19 pandemic has caused everyone to shift their paradigm in how to solve problems. But the one problem we can't solve that we went into this pandemic with is really how to help ourselves, because we were so dependent on outside solutions. And now that we can't go outside, we have to create those solutions ourselves. And asking for help is a way to do that. Because I think when we think about the difficulty of asking for help, especially with mental health issues, or especially with topics that we feel like we should have this figured out, we face one of the ugliest truths, which is you probably don't take very good care of yourself. If you're coming up against a large problem that you can't solve and it sends you on a spiral of negativity, it's a good indication that you're not doing self-care consistently. Because when you are engaged in consistent and positive self-care, not just numbing out to get away from it all, but really digging deep and figuring out what it is you need to soothe yourself, to treat yourself better, and you do that, you start to erase that difficulty that you've created by not taking care of yourself. And then those giant insurmountable problems get smaller and smaller and smaller. It gets easier and easier to notice when you're having a mental health crisis or when you're getting into that bad situation that you need help out of. You can prevent that from even happening. And that doesn't mean that self-care is going to solve every problem, but I promise you a good, consistent self-care routine is going to help those big problems seem a lot less daunting. And how you deal with it, how you deal with your problems, and how you take care of yourself is a big indication of how connected you are to yourself. And that disconnection that you might be dealing with is probably what's causing the problems that you need to ask help with. So you really want to look at that. And when you're in fear of not knowing how to take care of yourself or not knowing what to do, when you come up against I know I need help, I know I need something, but I don't know what, that's a good thing. That's a good indication that you're on the right track. And you just want to hold on. Just hold on. You're so close, and I want to be that voice of encouragement that lets you know when you hit that fear, that's a good thing. Because the biggest decision that you can make right now, today, is how you're going to take care of yourself. Especially now that we're in this challenging pandemic where there's not as many resources for self-care that are available to us. So now we have to go a little bit deeper and do a little bit more self-help work and self-reflection to get that self-care that we need. It's unfortunate, but this whole situation is forcing everyone who's ever had challenges with taking care of themselves to take care of themselves. And that can be exhausting. But if you start to treat yourself better, if you start making decisions that are going to help you, these problems, these challenges, these mental health crises that you might be experiencing will get better. And they will get easier and easier to solve because you'll be able to spot them coming and you'll know which route to take to lessen the blow. Because the worst thing you can do is overextend yourself beyond your means to help everyone else around you and then become resentful. We do everything for everyone else, and then we're really sad and left feeling empty because we haven't done anything for ourselves. And we know that. We know we're not taking care of ourselves. And that makes us feel worse. So if you are constantly taking care of everyone else around you and dealing with their problems, their health, their finances, their goals, whatever it is, and you are the cheerleader champion of them, and then you find yourself really empty and dark and having a hard time, I promise you it is a direct relation to the lack of self-care. So today I want you to really think about how you can treat yourself better. If you're having a hard time asking for help, just remember my 5 ways of how to ask for help. Number 1, you have to start with asking yourself first. Number 2, you have to ask for help more than once in a while. Number 3, you want to start with someone who feels safe. Number 4, you want to work on balancing the scales between taking care of everyone else and taking care of you. And number 5, you want to avoid becoming resentful to the people you're serving. That's it for this week. Thank you so much for joining me. If you have a story you'd like to share and you want to be on the show, please email me. It's Kris, Kris, at selfcareissexy.com. Okay, we've got some really great content coming your way, so stay tuned. And remember that self-care is sexy. We're giving you permission to put yourself first.